welcome to another episode. My name is Dean Vass. You can find me on X at hashtag Kangas, Instagram hashtag Kangaroos Podcast. Tonight, I welcome back Mark. Hello. It's been a while. And Mark, it's fair to say I could get used to this and reviewing a win at our fortress and the ground we deserve more games at, the MCG. But maybe another 5 minutes and we might not have been as happy because thank God the siren went when it did, Mark.
Yeah, although I must admit, I mean, were we 5 goals up with three minutes to go?
So I think it was 20 odd points. They kicked a couple quick goals or something like that. So.
I don't know. That the game was over really at 3/4 time. I think it would have been a bizarre way to lose if we'd found a way to drop that game. So I just I'm not, put it this way. I was super happy after the Carlton game. And I wasn't particularly happy after we beat West Coast. And the reason for those two differences is not because West Coast, they sit on the ladder. It's just I thought the style of play against Carlton was so good in the guts of the game in the second and third quarter when it was up for grabs. It made me feel like the Freo game was no fluke, and now we can see where they're heading. And the West Coast game, I watched that and thought, even though we got over the line, we snuck over the line in the last quarter when we actually were aggressive in pursuing the win and played attacking footy. I just was worried about what happened for the majority of the game, and I just wondered if we were going to make that big leap in terms of moving forward this year. I was wondering whether it would happen, but I thought the Freo game was awesome, and then I was that happy with the Carlton game up till 3/4 time that I wasn't so worried about the last quarter. But I think Clarko wasn't too pleased, but that's a good sign too that they weren't getting carried away with themselves with the win. They were a bit disappointed with the last quarter, but yeah, overall, I just thought that's the best I've seen for 5 or 6 years.
I mean, just going back to that West Coast game, it looked like in that last quarter we figured a few things out. And we've sort of continued on from that.
That's true.
Onto Fremantle last week, a very competitive performance. Almost could have pinched the draw, at least in the end. And an impressive 46-point lead up until 3/4 time against Carlton. Probably really it was done in 2 quarters in the second and third quarter. But it sounds like it seems like we figured a few things out from that disastrous first 3 quarters against West Coast after the bye.
Actually, it's a good point. You could argue that, that's right. The last quarter against West Coast, or certainly the last 10 minutes, the game against Freo, that was pretty much a 4-quarter performance. I don't think the only problem with the Freo game was our conversion inside 50, not just shots for goal, but opportunities. We just had a lot of good opportunities that we made a few silly mistakes in our forward half. But to me, watching that game, I thought we were the far better side against Freo. I thought we found a way to not win that game rather than we didn't quite catch them. But anyway, and the Carlton game, it just felt we were so far in front going to the last quarter. It certainly feels like Clarko thought we just went a bit too defensive and need to learn to put the foot on the throat and just keep going. Because at the end of the day, he's right. Well, we only needed to kick 1 or 2 goals and put it way beyond them. So rather than just sort of defend a big lead, you may as well just get those 1 or 2 goals, and then they're so far away that they can't get you. So I think they'll learn from that. I'm not in the slightest bit concerned. There wasn't much out of that game during that key part of the second and third quarter that you'd have anything to worry about as a North supporter. The thing that excited me most that I haven't seen for 5 or 6 years was I don't think we've bullied another side physically in that way in the last 6 years, probably since we were last playing finals. And to see those players like Paul Curtis is ridiculously strong, but the way that the captain and Cherry's an absolute beast of a player at the moment, but Paul Curtis was another one. Zurha, they're starting to really bully sides physically, and Parker's come in and is adding to that as well. So they're looking really not just strong in the contest, but just physically imposing themselves on players. And that was really interesting because that was done to us by Carlton on Good Friday. So that must have come as a terrible shock to them to have it turned back on them like that. So that will give them massive confidence. And Hawthorn's done that a bit to us in recent years. Certainly tactically, they've dominated us, but and defensively with pressure. So they're coming off a bye, so they might get a bit of a shock themselves this week.
Oh, we certainly hope so. Yeah, now we go back 2 months and Good Friday and the 82-point loss. The Blues looked far too strong for us in that game.
Yeah.
And it was the opposite, like you sort of said. We made statements early. Griffin Logue was bumping into players, going to defence before the centre bounce. Luke Parker straight into the middle. Last couple of weeks he's been going into the middle after half time, but this game straight in the middle from the first centre bounce. Paul Curtis, you said, made some tough tackles, albeit a couple of free kicks. I thought Constanti really drove some good standards as well with his pressure.
Yeah.
Michael Foss even saying the Blues were bullied. They were big statements and messages, and maybe, just maybe, this might be the time we've finally turned that corner to the other side, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, the word arrogance is probably too strong, but they were starting to strut a bit, and it does feel like we're probably starting to believe, because it looks like they do. That's probably the best way to describe it for me, is that the players themselves look like now they're not intimidated anymore. They don't feel like they've got anything to fear from good sides like Freo in Freo. And a team that beat them by 82 points, to psychologically get from that point to this point within that 8-week period, it's a great credit to the coaches and the fact that they have built a culture now where, and I think Clarko has driven this, and it was mentioned in the paper in the last couple of John Ralph. I think he did make a very good point. It came from Charlie Comben about why Logue and Core got dropped, and Charlie said, it wasn't a skill-based issue that they've dropped, is that they weren't playing by the team rules in defence. And so they had to go back and learn a lesson. And Logue's, he's done that and come back, and now he's abiding by team rules. But that set a standard, which I think quite a few of us would probably, wanting to see that happen, that they say, okay, draw a line in the sand and say, if you're not going to play by the rules, you're not going to play. And if you won't defend, because as soon as you've got one or two players not doing it, the whole thing breaks down. That's the issue. You really need full buy-in these days to be able to succeed as a team. So that's really exciting. That's to hear that Charlie Comben sort of saying that everyone's bought in now. The system is starting to click. They know what role they've got to play, and they know they can't just play well as individuals anymore. They've got to do what's required for the team, and as a result, a lot of them are playing better footy anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I wouldn't mind just talking about the last quarter. It's very rare we've been in these positions in the last decade, not just the last 5 years. We've only had 23 games in the last decade where we've led at three-quarter time.
What?
9 of them by 3+ goals. The 3 games under Clarko was a Collingwood game last year where we lost by a point. We were up by 31 points at three-quarter time. West Coast as well last year where it was 27 points. And the Eagles had kicked 2 goals, 15 behind till three-quarter time. So it puts things into perspective. And this is a different game.
So can you say that again? In the last 10 years, there's only been 23 games we've been leading at three-quarter time. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And 9 of them by 3+ goals. So we're not used to this being up.
I'm surprised you've got any listeners.
I know.
We've done well to keep any supporters on them, and that's a tough decade.
Yeah, that is a tough decade. And it's very rare. Like, we don't know how to play this. We're 46 points up. So, we kind of put the cue in the rack. We were a bit reactive, so we didn't know how to do it. So at the end of the day, Mark, I wouldn't mind having this problem more often where we're 46 points up, and we'll learn to bury teams, like you sort of said. So not a bad problem to have, I guess, at the end of the day.
No, I mean it's that shocked me hearing that. You forget how long it's been. We've been struggling for, but it has been that long. So. Bloody hell, we deserve the tide to finally be turning. It's funny, it doesn't feel like 10, it feels like 5, but it has been 10. So, it just shows the mountain Clarkson's had to climb in a pretty quick space of time, considering what these first 2 years looked like with the Hawthorn racism stuff. He hasn't really had a lot of time with them, so his impact is starting to become quite profound in the last 2 months. And he already had good relationships with them, but his ability to impact them and get them to buy in to do exactly what was needed has started to really happen now. So, I mean, it can't be easy to get a team that's for 10 years had that sort of record and get that belief. It's all very well to say, just do it, but it doesn't work like that. So it's been a long time coming to get the players to look and feel like they did during that second and third quarter against the side above them on the ladder. And as you said, to have that sort of lead going into three-quarter time. So it's no wonder they were a bit shell-shocked themselves playing the last quarter.
I mean, it felt like, I think there was even a write-up about this, that it was almost like he deserves credit, Alistair Clarkson, for turning this around in the last month or so.
I admit I had fears like 3 weeks ago. I was still after watching the West Coast game. I said, I don't know. Maybe this is just not going to turn under Clarko. Maybe it's just not. He's not going to get the buy-in he needs for them to play the sort of footy that's going to get them up. And I'm thinking, we're into year 3. I'm getting worried. Like not that he should get sacked or anything like that, but just that we were going to get into year 4 and 5 and still have problems. But yeah, I mean, you're right. What you said earlier, it started to happen during that last quarter, and it's continued on. So, hopefully now we don't have to look back and go, that was just a couple of good weeks we had. But it hasn't really. That would be unfair because it's been happening for 2 months. Really, it's been a build towards this.
No, definitely. I mean, it's almost a little bit of the unsociable Hawks back in the day when he was coaching at his peak. It felt like the unsociable Roos on the weekend. Joe Simpkin was really getting in their faces a lot. Paul Curtis, a number of big statements. And, like I said earlier, Michael Voss was saying we were bullied. So hopefully this continues because it can be a psychological game out there. And if you get in the grill of the opposition, sometimes that makes a big difference. A player that's getting in the grill of opposition forwards, Toby Pink, Mark, his job on Charlie Curnow. He keeps getting the opposition's best forward and doing a number on them. Now, I remember last year's Good Friday game. It was one of Pink's first games, and he wasn't ready for Curnow or Mackay that day. He was outmatched. He didn't have much help that day, but he had 7 intercepts for the game Saturday, and he's our best defender or key defender right now. I mean, where has this come from, Mark? No one can kick a goal on him.
No, and to be fair, as much as I'm a massive Toby Pink fan, and I think he's been in our top 3 or 4 best players probably for the last 7 or 8 weeks. Over that period, if there was a BNF just for the last 8 weeks, he'd be in the top 3 or 4, no problem. I think a lot of the benefit he's getting and some of the other defenders is the defence that's happening up the ground as well, not just within that back line. But he's showing himself to be a very intelligent footballer in terms of the way he positions himself. He knows when to go. He's clearly a great team man as well. And Clarko knows what he's going to get from him every single week. So I think he's probably the most trusted player in the back line for Clarko. He's just very reliable and he does the same things every week. And his level of effort is at 100% every time there's a contest. So you can't ask for much more than that. He's very strong too, by the way. He doesn't get pushed off the ball. He's unbelievably strong. And he's surprisingly, he doesn't get smashed on the lead either.
No, he keeps up with him. Yeah.
He keeps up with him. He's not getting killed. So he's there's no reason for him. And he's at the perfect age for us. He got brought back to AFL footy at the age of 25 after winning that flag for Glenelg in South Australia. He's busted his guts to get to where he is. And I don't think he's going to be moved out of that side anytime soon.
No, you'll get it. I'm pretty sure we'll hear a contract extension for him fairly soon.
God, yeah. The whole place will get burnt down if he doesn't get one.
No. Where do you sit with Charlie Comben? His shoulder clearly wasn't right.
Yeah.
Is it brave or is it a bit stupid and negligent by the club to play him?
I've got no medical understanding of his situation other than he didn't look right. He was suffering a lot of pain. It took incredible courage to play. But look, the only thing I can say is I assume they've told him you're going to need. Normally, when this sort of thing happens, the player's been told they need an operation, but they can't make it any worse by playing. And it's normally in the lead up to finals, though, not 8 weeks out from the end of the season. So my view is, if it's that bad and he's in that much pain and needs an operation, go and do it now. I don't see there's any benefit in him playing through pain, and he did look right to be out there anyway. I don't think it was a coincidence Will Dawson got moved to the back line in the VFL last week. That makes me feel like they're getting ready for him to come in as his replacement. So that's a guess, but there's some makes sense given the timing. Because they'd had Will Dawson playing as a key forward and on the verge of getting into the seniors as a key forward. They wouldn't move him back unless they think that's potentially where he'll play in the seniors soon. So I don't know if he'll play again in the near future. He didn't look right, unless it was just one of those things he had to play through the pain this week and it'll continue to improve. But he looked very sore to me.
Well, he's had a very sore career, Mark. I think he's had like 20 or 30 broken bones. I think it is
tough as nails.
Yeah, he's very courageous. I mean, it's a broken bone in his shoulder. So whether that just heals and he doesn't need an operation, I'm not too sure. So I don't know the extent of it. But he played a few games last year where he was clearly underdone as well in a similar situation.
Yeah,
so
I don't like watching. I don't like watching him play in that sort of pain. It just doesn't look good. But he got through. If we're on the verge of playing finals, and Clarkson talked about it after the game and just said, his example was one of those who's desperate to be out there with the other players, getting some wins at the moment. But I'm expecting him. Well, that's right. He's a big part of our next 5 or 6 years. I'd be looking after him. I mean, I clearly Clarko and the coach have been told that the no more harm can get done to the injury. I mean, if he gets thumped in the same spot, it's not going to be good, surely. But anyway, I don't know that stuff. But yeah, I don't think they'd be taking anything that could damage him long term. But yeah, he looks very sore.
He did. He certainly did. The defence is coming together though, Mark. The back seven, McKercher, Daniel, Hardiman, McDonald as well, giving the team good rebound out of there. The tall pillars are common. Logan, Pink are forming a good partnership as well. It's coming together pretty well, isn't it?
It is, and the Jackson Archer's not even in that side, and he'll be. He was sort of one of the first pick before he's had his run of bad luck. So there's some, and Gota will be another one that'll push for selection at some point. I think they may as well put him on ice at the way it's going for him this year, but he's had a terrible run after that Achilles injury. But he's got a lot of talent, so they'll want to see him either come back later in this year and play a few games, or just put him on ice and make sure he has a really solid pre-season. So the backline's got a lot of potential long term, and of course we're seeing in the reserves, Whitlock. Will Dawson played there this week. Who's the other big guy? Oh, Callan Dawson's the other one, I guess they've got there. But yeah, Whitlock and Will Dawson have been looking really good in the twos. As big key position players. So they've got, and even Harvey's been playing well in the back line. In the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's been outstanding there, best on ground on the weekend. So they've got some options, the back line. They've got depth, as well as the fact the guys in there are doing really well at the moment.
Yeah, we'll certainly talk about the reserves soon. I've actually been impressed with Cooper Trenbrath as well in that back line.
Good point.
Yeah, so that's another tall. There's a lot of tall players in that VFL team.
Well, suddenly it's hard to get in. I mean, we had no talls in the VFL side for about 3 or 4 years. It used to drive me mad. Now you turn on and go, how are these poor guys going to get in the side? It's hard to break in, but it's a great problem to have.
No, at the moment. Midfield, and this is where it was won. And I mentioned Sherry's first half on X, and people jumped at me a little bit here, Mark. I sort of said he's been a little bit down as opposed to previous games. He only had 3 touches, 3 clearances, 1 tackle in the first half. I didn't say he was having a bad first half, but compared to everyone else, he was probably a little bit down on his output. Tom Powell, I thought it was probably his best game in his career. Really tough in the contest. A real breakout game for him. I think sometimes when he's gone against teams with bigger bodies, he's struggled, but he's gone against the biggest bodies in the competition on the weekend. Chera, Cripps, Hewitt, and probably best on ground for me, even over Parker. 34 touches, 8 clearances, 5 tackles, 3 goal assists as well. Very important in the lows, not a high-scoring game. How did you see Tom Powell's going?
Oh, I love Tom Powell. I think Parker's having a big influence on him.
Yeah.
And they brought him to the club for that reason. I think he's teaching some of those guys. I wouldn't be surprised if he's having a big influence on Will Phillips and the great form he's having at VFL level. I think albeit he's keeping him out of the side, probably directly. But I think he's having a big influence on those young kids. I'm sure he's helping players like Finn O'Sullivan, who got this Rising Star nomination, and he was absolutely amazing in that first quarter. He was just. I described him as a Rolls Royce on X. The amount of time that kid's got for someone playing senior footy for their first season, his decision making and the time and space he creates, and he's tough. They tried to intimidate him, and he just laughed like tough country kid. But yeah, he's another one who at some point could go into the middle. McKirch is another one that could some point could end up in the middle. They've got a lot of talent around the ball. But yeah, Powell. He's at another level now. I mean, he's been improving for the last 2 or 3 years, and again, another one that had suggested to the coaching group they were sick of being moved around everywhere. I think a lot of them are benefiting from a bit of stability for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I think that's definitely helping.
Luke Parker, 28 touches, 8 tackles, 8 clearances. LDU as well, 30 touches, 9 score involvements, which was the team high. Adds a lot of class. He's been very good the last couple of weeks. LDU is probably getting back to his form from last year and proving a little bit of a match winner. Just that when he breaks that line through the middle and he gets that good deep clearance, like where
can't tackle him.
Yeah, he can't. No, his hips are too strong. So yeah, that's the midfield.
And Sheasel, of course.
Yeah, well, I was just about to mention Sheasel up forward. He seems to have found his position as well. He's looking very dangerous as a high half forward. Probably his best position right now, mate.
How much time was he playing midfield on the weekend?
I don't think he had a CBA.
Really?
No,
he's had 30 possessions then playing in that role.
Yeah, I'll just have a look here for you, Mark. Yeah, 30 touches, kicked a goal.
He had a lot of score involvements, I know that.
Yeah, I will have a look at that. He had 5 score involvements, 1 goal assist.
I mean, he'll have a game soon where he kicks 3 or 4. He'll keep getting deeper into the forward line, but he's a freak. Some of the stuff he does. They got a bit cheeky a couple of times in the second quarter. They started to take a few big risks with some handballs and stuff. But the only one down was George in the midfield.
Yeah, well, he got subbed out in the third quarter. There's a lot of talk about that probably shouldn't have subbed him off. I thought it was actually the right decision at the time. I couldn't think of anyone else. Maybe he could have gone Hansen, but I thought his leg speed would have been important in the last quarter. We had to get Fisher on, and I thought Fisher was quite good in the last quarter. Mark,
he had plenty of it. Yeah,
a couple of really good tackles. I know the team didn't struggled a bit in the last quarter, but I thought he was actually serviceable as a sub. So yeah,
I don't think it was more the team's attitude in the last quarter that was
that's
the
right.
problem. Than any big change from one player going on or off. I think George. I don't think he did much wrong, to be honest. I just think he was it just didn't quite click for him. He just didn't find space, and the ball just sort of bounced away from him. I'm not worried about George at all. I know people calling for him to be dropped this week because he's down in form. I don't know if there's much point dropping him. I think. No, I wouldn't be doing that.
I don't think anyone's getting dropped, Mark.
No, that would be weird. I think you're right. I think it'll be completely unchanged.
Yeah, I mean the only thing they might change is the sub. Maybe they go Hansen instead of Fisher. They might just keep Fisher for another week as a sub.
I think so. Hansen had a couple of weeks as the sub, and he's doing some good things. I think they'll leave him on the field again this week.
Yeah, kicked a nice goal.
Depends how they see that ground and the matchups, I suppose. But yeah, I don't think there'll be many changes.
Unless they want to maybe look at Zach Badge, I'm not too sure. In the next few weeks.
Hawthorn's pretty small in their forward line, aren't they, at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, they have to be because they've got no one else. They've got a few injuries, but yeah, I don't think their forward line worries me as much as probably their back line has probably started to come together a bit without Sicily, funnily enough. So, yeah, but we'll worry about them soon. Now, it was pretty brave by Darling to get back on the ground as well because it looked like his leg was going to have to be amputated after the first quarter. Laid that tackle in the third to Cherry when the Blues looked like they were going to make a run. Only 6 disposals in the goal. But it's important for the structure of the team. And I don't think we'll win that game if you get subbed out early, Mark, because it would have been too hard just to put it all on Larky. He's the only tall forward in that team.
No, look. I think Jack Darling has been a terrific acquisition, and I'm hoping that he's helping train up Finbar to take his spot next year. But he's really helpful. He's been really helpful to Larky, and I think more importantly, he's been more helpful to Zerha. With Cam not having to play that second big forward, it's freed him and Curtis up to be able to like cause havoc really in the forward line. And when you're looking at the goal kicking now, I mean, Larky, they've almost kicked all the same amount of goals. Larky, Zerha, and Curtis, and they're all right up there. So they're all potentially going to be, Larky will certainly be over 40, but the other two will be as well. And Curtis has missed 3 games with suspension, so they're getting a good result out of those 3 forwards. And Darling's doing all the hard stuff. He's very unselfish in the way he's playing, and he's good defensively, laying tackles. He brings the ball to ground. His opponent does not take intercept marks. So he plays a very crucial role. And it's particularly important while we really don't have a second key forward with that level of experience or understanding just yet. That said, we'll talk about the Rezzies later, but I watched Finbar play in the VFL, and he's definitely learning and growing in that type of role going forward, as is Will Dawson for that matter. But yeah, for certainly for this season anyway, the role he's playing is fantastic.
No, it definitely is. He's still got his football smarts, and that's the most important thing. Lost his athleticism. That comes with age, but he's still a very smart footballer. And, he still has his moments where he turns into Wayne Carey for a quarter and, gets 6 possessions, kicks 2 goals, lays a couple of tackles. So, that's always in his game. And he gets the second best. Yeah, definitely is. Generally gets a second best defender each week, which probably relieves the pressure on this next guy I wouldn't want to talk about, and that's Cameron Zerha. Another 3 goals, 3 goal assists, and 7 scoring involvements from 9 possessions. That's pretty good output. Paul Curtis, 2 goals, 3, 7 scoring involvements as well. Nick Larkey, 2 goal assists. Constanti with the forward half pressure. I mean, the forward line is starting to look good as well, Mark. It's starting to come together, and I don't think they're far away from kicking, a big score of 110, 120 plus points.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. Cam Zerha's having a great season, I think. And he's been fairly low key about it. He's like in the past, the issues been 1 good game, 5 bad ones. David King sort of said that the other day and sort of was a bit harsh on him. I think this year's been the year where he's been more consistent than ever. And he's heading for a 40-plus goal season, and he's giving away plenty as well. He's doing the team things. His defensive pressure's better, and Paul Curtis's defensive pressure's been absolutely brilliant. He's becoming a brute in our forward line. Have you still got me there?
No, he certainly is. I'm just going to look at the goal kickers now. Sorry, mate.
You're right.
Well, I'm just scrolling through, but they're all pretty similar. Yes, I'll just quickly do that. I mean, they're all in their 20s now. Nick Larkey's on 28.
Oops.
I was just obviously going to the leading goal kickers. I've lost the page. So, are you still with me, Mark?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, mate. Once I went to that page, I somehow lost everything. So I was just talking. I don't know if you heard the leading goal kickers. I had Nick Larkey on 28, Cameron Zerha 27, Paul Curtis 24. We've had Jack Darling 13, Luke Parker on 10. it's not a bad, like in previous years, it was Nick Larkey by 50, kicking 50 plus goals. And the next best was lucky to have 20, whether it was Zerha or Paul Curtis. So we're starting to get a lot more spread through there, aren't we?
We are. Plus, you've got the physical presence and the pressure that Constantine's putting on the opposition as well to keep the ball in our forward line. And he's generally kicking a goal a game. I don't think he did on the weekend, but he missed a fairly easy one. But he's generally getting a goal as well and contributing on the scoreboard, not just with pressure. The Hanson Jr. Was he mainly playing wing on the weekend? I didn't really know.
Yeah, I think so. He played a little bit in the forward 50 for a few CBAs was there, but was mainly on the wing on the weekend. So, how have you seen him? I mean, I know you've been pro Robert Hanson, but I think he's been quite serviceable the last few weeks. Last week was particularly very good against Fremantle, getting 3 goal assists and 5 scoring involvements coming on as a sub. But I thought he was quite serviceable on the weekend as well.
Well, if you can get it in his hands inside 50, you're almost guaranteed a goal. He'll either kick one or he'll put it in someone else's hand. So his decision-making and his kicking is exquisite. I'd like to... So if he when he gets the ball, he can do a lot of damage. I would like him to be able to improve the defensive side of his game from a tackling perspective anyway. In terms of running patterns, I'm sure he's fine. So I'm not sure yet, though, where his final best position is going to be long term, whether it is going to be wing, because there's a fair bit of competition within the club there, obviously. I think Stevens has certainly locked up one of those wings now. He's been outstanding. What a player he's become in the last 7 or 8 weeks. He's really turned things around from where he was last year in the first few games of this year. He's improved every aspect of his game. So he's got one at this point in time. I mean, you could have said that about Bailey Scott, for the last 2 or 3 years that he had one wing wrapped up, and he's fallen out of favour for the time being. But there's a fair bit and Dersma's playing a lot of wing at VFL, wing forward at VFL level. So there's a lot of competition there. So I'm not sure where his Robert Hanson was, where his best position will end up being, but he's certainly got a lot of talent with ball in hand. So if he keeps working on the other things, there's opportunities for him for sure.
Oh, look, I'm pretty confident he'll hit a target when he's got the ball in hand. Like he's very highly skilled.
Well, that hasn't been our best thing. That hasn't been the best aspect of our footy for the last 5 years, has it? So.
Probably for how long we've been following North for, Mark, and it probably hasn't been for the last 30 years, to be honest with you. So,
no, that's right.
He's a very good distributor of the ball. Even that last week where he kicked one to Nick Larkey in the forward pocket.
Amazing
to his
kick.
advantage. He couldn't have kicked that any better.
Well, at full speed.
Yeah.
To do that
exactly.
on running along a boundary line at full speed, and to create that kick that just like the timing of that kick where it landed, and there was zero margin for error. There was no space left between Larkey and the boundary line. I mean that takes a lot of skill to do that.
No, it definitely does. I think Ross came in before. He goes, I can only assume that last quarter was a training exercise on how to defend a lead, except they pulled the trigger 25 minutes too early, and it was ugly. Look, I mean, like we sort of mentioned earlier, we're not used to leading, so so maybe it's just something they've got to work on. I think they did a video the club put on socials where Clarkson talked after the game, and he sort of said, that's something we've got to work on. So, that's not a bad thing to work on. Finn O'Sullivan, the Norwich Rising Star. I keep saying that. What do I keep saying? He's the rising star of the round. Had a hot start to the game. 10 touches in the first quarter. It seems to be growing every week, and he's making that wing his own now, isn't he?
Yeah, talking of wingman. Where do you think his best position will end up?
Oh, look, it's going to be hard being a midfielder in this team because we've got our midfield set up for probably the next 5-10 years.
He could be a Luke Hodge on the back line the way he plays as well. Because he's tough.
He's a very tough kid. Good skills. I'd like to see him in the centre square because I think that's where similar LDU, similar play to him. With his
not quite. Well, he'll get more explosive and he's not slow now by any stretch.
No, definitely.
So he'll probably get even quicker. He can play. He's dangerous as a forward too because he's a very good mark for his size.
Hopefully, he's the next Bontempelli. So.
Yeah, well, look, he's an unbelievable talent, that's for sure.
Definitely is.
Just can we go back to the back line? I just want to ask a quick question before we move on from there. Colby McKercher, obviously he's had a great couple of weeks, 2 beautiful goals. Do you think the halfback flank's the long-term position for him, or?
I think it is, to be honest with you. I like that he can break a line. He does do the odd turnover from the back 50, but he seems to, it seems to be like an extra midfielder anyway, that halfback line, halfback flanker. Like you sort of see Rosie playing out there, playing as an extra mid. We kind of need that line breaker.
Suits him, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does suit him. He seems more natural there. 635 metres gained, 29 touches. Like I sort of said, he kicked 2 goals as well. So,
well, if he can average 2 goals a game playing from the back flank, we'll keep him there.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen that goal, where the first one, where he just did that sidestep. He was far too fast.
That's just class.
Yeah, and we kind of missed that player back there. Look, I like Sheasel back there, but he's a different type
I don't
of player.
think Sheasel's going back there.
No, he doesn't need to.
I think that's done now.
Well, it doesn't have to when he's getting 30 touches at playing as a half forward.
No, that's right.
And I just find, and once he can tidy up a little bit of his skills, McKercher.
Some of his kicking is when sometimes he's better at kicking for goal on the run than he is kicking to one of our North players on the run. He worries me then. He'll chip it straight to a Carlton player a few times on the weekend, but you just got to let that go. Like he's second year player. There's going to be a few mistakes for a while. Don't worry about it. But yeah, crazy talent.
Yeah. A one-on-one, he can be a bit vulnerable defensively as well.
That's true.
I think you've seen Blake Acres, take an easy mark against him on the weekend last. But that's something he can work on as well. But he can't get everyone through the midfield, so I think halfback is his best position. He looks much better there than he did as a high half forward earlier in the year, but it maybe helped his game. So look, it seems to be all coming together. Any concerns besides the last quarter with you, Mark? And even that's probably not that too much of a concern.
No, I'm not even concerned about that. I think that was a good lesson for them. And the way Clarko handled it afterwards suggested they're going to learn. He wanted them to learn from it. So I think that'll be fine.
No, definitely. Well, might as well talk about the reserves. They win another point at the death to get the important win, and a good day for the club as well. Getting the seniors getting the win, the reserves getting the win. Zach Badge with another 3 goals, 4 tackles, keeping his name in the frame. Good luck to the kid. Hope he gets an opportunity. Zane Dersma, who was emergency with 3 goals. Such a classy mover. Your boy, Finbar, 23 touches, 9 marks and a goal. Was involved with everything. I thought he was best on the ground. Mark,
I thought he was outstanding.
Cooper Harvey playing halfback and giving some good drive from halfback with 25 touches. CCJ as well, Mark. I know he's a forgotten man, but 22 touches and playing as a ruck forward. Looking very nimble, and even if he doesn't play an AFL game this year, I think you give him another year anyways.
I'm hearing that he'll get it 1 more year.
Yeah, he does look very good at the moment. So
I think that makes it hard for Teakle.
Yeah, look, it probably does. I mean, I think Teakle's 25, 26. He's had another opportunities at other clubs. Port Adelaide, and probably he's good, serviceable backup. But I mean,
he might get picked up. He might get picked up elsewhere, Teakle. But we're probably the fact that Goad's coming on at the rate that he is, and Callum Coleman-Jones has come back and looked really good. It just doesn't. Ideally, you'd keep Teakle there, but it's just too hard with our list spots. It's getting so tight now.
Nah, look, I think you're going to keep so many of them.
If
CCJ is coming through and he's fit and healthy, and you've got Finbar and Taylor Goad, you can't. There's no point to keeping Teakle there.
No,
there's too many of the same player. Will Phillips, 25 touches with 7 tackles. Jackson Archer, you were saying another hamstring, Mark. Yeah, we must be getting worried about the soft tissue injuries this guy's getting now, and for the future as well, Mark, because he's had a lot in his short career.
Yeah, they'll have to work on that over the summer, get him right. It often happens to players under 24, 25. They go through periods like this. I think they'll sort it out. It's just, he's obviously got either lower back or, just some core issues that are making it difficult with his hammies in particular. So that, I mean, they look. George looked like it was a crisis situation with his hammies, and they've got that under control. So I'm sure they'll get it right with Jackson. I mean, he overtrained really badly over a preseason a few years ago.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, he got osteitis pubis type injuries then, and he's had a few problems since then. So I just haven't quite got the balance right with him yet. But look, he's he's again plays a bit like George. The guys that just explode at the ball, like they just don't hold back with anything. They often can just push it a bit too far with that type of injury. But anyway, I think he'll be okay. But I'd be very careful about rushing him back this year. He might be another one that they don't necessarily worry too much about what happens this season.
No, look, it's probably if it's another hamstring, you probably give him at least 4 to 6 weeks.
At least,
which is getting close to the end of the year. Anyway,
put him on ice. But Finbar was the one. What was exciting for me about the role they got him to play on the weekend was he just was up and back the whole game. Like we know he's got a great engine from his 2K time trial in the pre-season where he's up with the best players in the club in terms of running ability. So he showed that on the weekend. He's tough and he's just at every contest. But the amount of running he did to pick up those 23 possessions, he was up in the back line, and then running straight back the forward line, competing for contested marks up forward. So we all know he's got some kicking issues that have got to get better before next season. But he's showing a lot of talent in every other aspect of his game, that's for sure.
Oh, he's an exciting player when he goes up for those marks.
Yeah,
he's probably he was a bit stiff in his last AFL game where I thought he took a hanger and they didn't pay it. I can't remember who that was against, actually. It was before the bye. So, he's I mean, at the end of
they'd be very happy with him overall this year. Like he did a good job when he came up in the seniors. He's still lacks a bit of polish. And they'll be, players like Jack Darling will be a huge influence on him.
No, he'll work very closely with him, that's for sure. I mean, 23 possessions for a centre-half forward is a very good result. What do you think about Cooper Harvey going into the back line in the last couple of weeks in the reserves? He was the 6th leading goal kicker in the VFL, and they're trying him as a half-back.
Well, he was close to best on ground. He's probably, the commentators gave him best on ground, but I agree with you. I think Finbar was biased as I am. But Cooper Harvey's been in the best players, but he's been in the best players where he's forward or back. At some point, I know there's a lot of people got critics about him and his attitude and stuff like that, but he's in the best players every week. He'd be probably coming second to Will Phillips in the best and fairest at the VFL side. He hasn't done a lot wrong. Like if they put him on, gave him 12 more months to prove himself, he can't do much more to put himself up for a position in the seniors to be able to prove himself. I don't know. At this point in time, he'll be unlucky not to get another 12 months the way he's playing. But there's still 8 or 9 weeks to go plus VFL finals stuff. I think they need to have a look at him in the seniors at some point in the next 6 or 7 weeks and see how he goes, because I've got a funny feeling he's going to play well.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I liked him as a forward in that forward 50, but it's probably just like if we're fully fit there, you've got Paul Curtis, Zerha, Costanti, Sheasel, Larkey, Darling. There's not many spots there.
No, there isn't. But put it this way, if he's getting best on ground as a defender, that's all well and good. If he can lock down as a defender on a small forward, so if let's say he was playing this week on Wizard Watson, if you pick up 20 possessions and keep him to less than a goal or 1 goal, then you'd start to go, okay, well then that's interesting. Because as you said, Jackson Archer's out injured. The small defenders in our backline are attacking small defenders. Like not Luke so much. Luke McDonald plays a bit differently, but we've got 2 that are virtually all out attack, like Daniels and McKercher. So there's a good argument to say at times we're going to need a lockdown small defender who can stop a Wizard Watson from kicking 5 goals on us. I'm not suggesting he's going to be capable of that, but that I'd like to know. what
No.
his defensive skills are like, because he certainly knows how to get the ball. He's dominating in the back line, getting the ball, and he's got very good foot skills in distribution. So he's doing all of that well. If he's very good at actually defending 1-on-1, well then that's something they can look at. But I don't think he's going to be able to play in a forward line. I just don't think. I mean, Dersma's still got to come into. Dersma's another one. He's kicked 3 goals. He looks a class above at VFL level. He can play wing, half forward. He can take marks. He's good on the ground. He's pretty tough. He's got enormous skill. So he's got to come in at some point. So I agree with you. And he got Banch as well as a small forward. So he can forget it on the forward line. Backline's probably his only option at North anyway. And the other question mark with the reserves is Will Phillips is going to win the best and fairest in the VFL and potentially not play again, because unless someone's injured, it doesn't feel like they're going to give him another game.
No, look, I think we can almost put a line through Mark. He's not going to be at the club next year.
I think he'll be playing for AFL footy.
But yeah, I think he will. Yeah, I think that someone
North
else will take a chance on him. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it's a bit sad because he loves the club. But I mean, look, to be honest, if Parker's not going to be around forever, he's going to play a couple more years at the most, and players get injured. So there's depth position there for him, but whether he's prepared to stay at the club waiting for people to get injured, I'm not sure.
Yeah, you can't look like that. I mean, if another club comes in, he goes, "Oh, here you have 2 years. We'll put you straight into the best 23, whether it's West Coast, or someone else. Might be St Kilda, who
can't blame him. No,
and he might just say, "Look, I've got to take this opportunity." I mean, it's a business. That's the way you got to look at it. You can't do what Eddie Ford done. And I hate to single him out, where he signs another 12 months and he can't get in the team, and now he's injured, and probably his AFL career's in jeopardy.
That will be madness if he's not on an AFL list next year. That's crazy in my view. But anyway, Eddie Ford's way too good not to be playing AFL footy.
I think he's the best 22 player for us, but he's not going to get a game ahead of Zurha, Paul Curtis, Harry Sheasel. He's not a key forward either. He's more of a third.
No, you're right. You're right. I just think it's unfortunate, but because he's done nothing wrong in the playing senior. He's looked nothing but dangerous playing as a forward for us. But you're right. Dersma's probably in front of him as well. So
yeah, they want to.
And now they've got Braden. Don't forget Braden George is down there.
He's only back into fitness. So
yeah, he's only going to get better. So I mean, there's another reason Harvey's had to go back. And then you've got players like Eddie Ford. I don't think Eddie Ford will be at the club either next year, which is a pity. But I'll be shocked if I was West Coast. I'd be bringing him up there as well. Or St Kilda. They might do a Mason Wood with Eddie Ford.
Oh look, all the best to him. He's a ripping bloke. So
he's a ripping bloke and a good, really talented player. But anyway, this is what happens when you build a strong list.
Oh, well, you build a list on midfielders and half forwards. That's probably what happens. Some players are going to miss out, unfortunately. So and that's exactly what's happened. Well, Cooper Harvey's a father-son. There's not much you can do about that. So you bring him in.
No. We've got River Phoenix down there, who's obviously, he's so small. He needs...
River Phoenix? River Stevens.
River
Phoenix, an actor.
Wasn't even a great actor, really. But anyway, River Stevens needs to put on about 7 or 8 kilos over the summer.
Oh, look, it's a development year for him.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not expecting anything from him. He's getting games, so
no, he looks like a traditional under-19s player.
He looks like a jockey, doesn't he?
He's just too small to be playing against men at the moment. I mean, I don't mean that to be rude, but he's a small guy. Just needs a bit of development physically. That's all.
No, that's right. A big test against the Hawks this week, Mark. But I don't think I think we mentioned it. There's not going to be any changes to the team this week unless there's an injury. You'd have to think so.
Nah, there's some guys very unlucky not to get a game, like Finbar and Dersma and Will Phillips. But you can't drop anyone at the moment the way they would after a win like that. So they'll keep the faith, and I reckon it'll be exactly the same side that went out. It's probably our best chance to beat Hawthorn for quite some time. If we do, it'll be close, but we'll certainly be competitive, and I think they'll be fired up to continue doing what they've done. I don't think they got carried away with themselves with the Carlton win at all. I think they're expecting to win games like this, and they're just hungry for more of it. So hopefully they've had a good recovery. They'll need it because Hawthorn are going to be well rested, obviously. But sides coming off the bye have struggled this year. It's been weird.
It's been weird, yeah. Usually they come out
It's like
refreshed.
they're not
We
ready for
struggled
the
for 3 quarters, so
yeah, they're not ready for the physicality in the first half. It seems like so. Hopefully that's continued. But Mitchell's pretty smart. He's probably had the mouth guards out all week, getting them ready. We'll have to see. But I'd love to be competitive against them. I'd love to wipe the smile off Mitchell's face. It always annoys me.
I think we all love that,
Yeah.
especially for Clarko.
Yeah, he's always smirking after he's beaten North. It just does my head in. So I'd love Clarko to get to have a grin on his face on the ground afterwards. After everything he's been through, it'd be a good win for him.
I don't think there's anything to fear against the Hawks, though, is there? Like, I mean, they're top 4 team or top 5 or whatever it is, but I think, they're not unbeatable.
No. Put the same pressure we put on Carlton on them. They won't enjoy that. No team does. So just if they keep bringing the same level of commitment as a group that they've been doing to play their role, defensively in particular, then we'll be competitive against everyone. That's the hardest. I mean, once you've got a talented list that's got a level of skill that makes them competitive and has some talent there, then it's just purely about what they're willing to sacrifice as a group to actually start winning games rather than protect their own position. And we seem to have moved way past that now. And they're doing all of those things. Like some teams, like the Bulldogs, do that some weeks, and then other weeks they don't. They start becoming into more individuals again. That's what we don't want to happen because that's it's not sustainable. It makes it impossible to get up to that top 4 level, which of course we're not going to be doing this year, but not even necessarily next year. But if you want to do that over the long term, like Brisbane and the other sides, Collingwood, for example, you have to keep to the team system week after week. But over the last 8 weeks, we've been getting better and better and better at it. It's certainly looking that way now. And Clarko's got the buy-in from the playing group. I mean, those comments that Charlie Comben made were fantastic, like in that regard, about the relationships he's built with the players and the fact they're bought into his game plan now. So, yeah, I don't think it feels a lot less like we have to hope, and it feels like we're actually starting to see. So, yeah, mate, I think most North supporters felt better this week about footy than they have for a number of years.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably a best win, I think, for a number of years, Mark, considering 2 months ago.
The best win I've seen in the last 6 years, I can't remember one that's made me feel better about where we're heading than that. Like in Miss Dr. Nourishment's first year when we won that game in Freo and Jaden Stevenson had about 40 possessions, that game was exciting. That was a really good win for the club. But I didn't feel like, the rebuilds, we're well on our way now. We're miles off. Whereas this time, we've been building for 8 weeks. We nearly should have beaten Freo and Freo. And then the next week, we absolutely physically demolished Carlton over 2 quarters at the MCG in front of 50-odd thousand people. I mean, that's next level in terms of where we've been. And that's the other thing. Supporters are coming out to watch games. So there's definitely different feeling building at the club. Absolutely different to what we've had for a long time.
It's starting to get very exciting times at the club, and hopefully we can finish off the year next 10 weeks and really put in some good performances for the suffering supporters. Mark, as been there for the last 6 years. We're not doing what Carlton are doing at the moment, burning scarves and going after players and coaches and everything like that. We've never done that, so yeah, full credit to the supporters for sticking.
If I was a Carlton supporter, I'd be pretty much feeling pretty broken at the moment. Given I feel for them. I mean, they've had. Well, I don't really feel for them, but they've been suffering since 1999. Like they've had one prelim 1 year where they looked like they might be going somewhere, and then it's just collapsed again. I mean, it must be horrific to be in that position. So that's the one thing we want out of this rebuild is a sustained period of playing finals, not a quick. And that's what Clarkson said all along. He's not building something for a quick fix. He's building something that'll last for a number of years. So I believe him. I wasn't sure. I must admit I was nervous. Even 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was starting to get nervous about where it was all going to end up. And after being so sure of myself that it was heading in the right direction, I started to lose confidence for a bit. But yeah, no, I'm feeling great about it. I think we should all be pleased with the improvement they're making, and we just want to see it go through to the end of this season. I think we just don't want to see it drop off. I think it might drop off in the last few weeks, but they want to keep it going for as long as they can anyway.
Well, we certainly hope so. Hopefully, we can continue the competitive performance.
And the VFL is as good a sign as any. Like the fact that the VFL is replicating the improvement at their level suggests it's an all of club thing. It's which is a really good sign.
No, that's right. There's a lot of good young players coming through the VFL as well.
Yeah,
which is all we can ask. Any other messages out there before I let you go, Mark?
No, mate. Fingers crossed for another great performance next week. This week.
No, that's it there, Saturday at Lonnie. So, yeah, we'll certainly see how we go. But, Mark, I really appreciate your time tonight. Thanks so much for coming on. It's been a while. It was good to chat after an impressive win.
Pleasure, Dino. Thanks for having me, mate.
Thank you to all your listeners as well. We'll be back Thursday to preview a game against the Hawks. Like, give a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, tell your mates and whoever about it. That's it for me. Bye for now, and go Roos.